Hello, Flutie friends. For today's mini lesson Monday, we are going to talk about overcoming some of those audition fears. I know that it is audition season for many of my Fluties, or at least we're coming up to it. You know, many of you are doing chair auditions in high school and college. And then of course here in the next several months, we're gonna be looking towards honor bands, which is super important to a lot of people. Now here's the thing, I wanna point this out first and foremost. An audition and a performance is just a snapshot of one moment in time. It is not the full picture of who you are as a musician. So I think it's very important to remember that regardless of what the outcome is, it is just a snapshot and it is not a reflection of who you are as a musician. Auditions can often be a great opportunity to get feedback and to learn something new and to get some good experiences in life. Again, they are not a definition of who you are as a musician. That said, we of course want to bring our best foot forward. And ways that we can do that are, of course, to be super prepared, get enough sleep the night before, drink lots of water, eat a good protein-rich breakfast so that our brains are functioning at top tier. And then, of course, taking a little bit of time to stretch and breathe before you go into an audition. Now, that said, I am an anxious human, so I understand that stretching and breathing and getting enough sleep and eating a good breakfast is not always going to help us get through some of those negative and anxious feelings that we may be dealing with. So here are a few ways that I tell my students to go into an audition and to combat some of those anxious feelings. One, let's reframe those thoughts, okay? What are a few of the main thoughts that pop into your head when you are when you are coming into an audition, okay? I'll tell you some of mine. For one, everybody's waiting for me to fail. That's a big one. I think that all the time. And the ways that I reframe that is I think about myself as a teacher, right? And I think about my teachers growing up. Were they rooting for me or anybody else to fail? Absolutely not, right? They're rooting for you to succeed. They want you to succeed. They want you to win this audition. They want to award you first chair. They're excited to hear where you are, right? So take a second and reframe and go, gosh, would my teacher ever root for me to fail? Probably not. Would I ever root for somebody else to fail? I hope not. So we think about those reframing of the thoughts and go, no, we're not rooting for someone else to fail. We're never ever rooting for someone else to fail, and they're not rooting for you to fail either. The second thought that we work to combat is, ugh, I'm a terrible player. Well, that's just not accurate either. Obviously, if you're auditioning for something, you worked really hard to get there, right? So reframing that thought, shifting that thought to something different and saying, I've worked really hard to be here. I'm excited to show them what I've done, right? Because regardless, you've still grown probably since the last time these people heard you, right? I worked really hard to be here is an important thought process. And three, when the imposter syndrome gets you and you've been scrolling through social media and heard incredible flutists way too much this week, instead of thinking, everybody is so much better than me, think, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be able to shoot my shot. I deserve to be here, right? And I understand that sometimes that's easier said than done. I really do. I'll be the first to admit that it's not as simple as just saying those things. Sometimes we have to speak to our inner critic and argue with them a little bit, right? Bring the fire, okay? When your inner critic says you don't deserve to be here, you come back and say, no, I put this much time into this. I've been taking lessons. I've been working on this for X amount of, minutes every day. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Argue with your inner critic, right? Shut them up because they're wrong. So if you have your favorite way to combat imposter syndrome, audition anxiety, performance anxiety, drop them in the comments below. I want to hear it. Your other Flutie friends want to hear it. Let's talk about it. And of course, if you like this kind of content, be sure to give this video a like and give me a follow for more mini lesson Mondays.